Still,
This is obscenely large. I mean, if only just to kind of make up for the fact that it's supposed to be the championship of championships.
Just picture Liv Morgan with this, dude. This is bigger than her face. Paul Levesque comes out for his big announcement, and there's a crown jewel podium inside of the ring, and he jokes about terrorizing WCW back in 1994 when he lived in Atlanta, and gives the audience number of 16,092. Nearly 17,000, their 60th sellout of the year. And he says largest grossing arena event in history, which he later clarified at the press conference, largest grossing U.S. arena event in history. So not as big as some of those European shows that they have set this year.
Still very impressive when you're considering
this crowd was so excited that they helped.
We paid a lot of money.
Yes, that secondary market was sick. And then he pivots to promote Crown Jewel, and boy, were there some audible boos when Crown Jewel was mentioned. Not the entire arena, but it was much like WrestleMania way when that video aired, and it was not everyone, but it was definitely audible.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because we just went through a UFC event that was entirely presented by Riyadh Season, and what sort of boos did you hear?
Dude, there was like none of that. Like It was just not to say there's not discourse of people about that connection and such, but in terms of like in the venue or anything like that, nothing like this.
I think they have the expectation, and I think they're operating on the assumption that as the years progress, this is like Riyadh Season, Saudi Arabia is just going to be that much more commonplace in our culture. But for wrestling, I think we still hear about it inconsistently enough, and I think the online discourse, especially during the Khashoggi murder, was so vocal that it still kind of stays with the wrestling audience in ways that it hasn't with an MMA audience. And but I also think like the more Triple H mentions it, the more like look at the difference between now than 3 years ago. It's just going to become more and more normalized, I think.
Yeah, and I mean with the Anthony Joshua fight that just happened, I wrote about this in my update, but the name escapes me about this reporter who was with like a prominent outlet in the UK wrote like about this very topic and was turned away. His media credential was not honored at the boxing fight at Wembley Stadium a few weeks ago.
Oh, interesting.
So it does like it really does tell you like the sensitivity to that criticism and the fact that how they view like media as well, that if you're going to speak critically, like there's one example of of a reporter that was just turned away and couldn't cover them.
And we just passed the 6-year anniversary of the Khashoggi murder.
Yes, yeah, back in 2018. So Paul Levesque, getting back to his announcement that for Crown Jewel, they will be having champion versus champion matches with the WWE and world champions for both the men and the women, but titles won't be on the line. But wait, there will be a definitive winner, and those winners will be crowned the 2024 Crown Jewel champion. And he unveils this monstrosity of a championship that he promotes 50 carats of diamonds as like that's to get a pop from this crowd about the number of carats that these wrestlers will be able to dude, this title, God bless if they put this thing on WWE Shop to sell replicas of, because I know people will buy this thing, but this looked like the last thing I want to be taken through customs to have to lug back to America.
This is just like outrageously sized of a championship belt.
Like Rey Mysterio, this would be a bib.
Hold on, can you imagine Liv Morgan hoisting this up? All right, like she is a current champion.
That's a very possible outcome to
this. Is obscenely large. I mean, if only just to kind of make up for the fact that it's supposed to be the championship of championships.
Just picture Liv Morgan with this, dude. This is bigger than her face.
I'm hoping they have like a scaled down version for the women, but I guess I don't know. Who knows? It's obscenely large. But listen, it's. How do you feel about the concept of bringing back the champion versus champion type of idea?
I didn't feel like it was like this big hook, but like it's going to be in terms of the matches. Like as of now, you would get Cody and Gunther, and you would have Liv and
Nia.
Yeah,
okay. Liv and Nia.
For a championship, we'll see once a year. Sure. Like
yeah,
I don't know. It's not a big...
The trouble, as in like previous Survivor Series when they've done this, is building to the matches by not having each champion on each show unless they allow that, for the months. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they do it. And also, like, they've kind of done these sort of things before, despite this being a historical announcement. Like, we've had Saudi specific, prizes like the greatest Royal Rumble, Shane McMahon winning the best in the world trophy. Like, is this just
that's what this is? Like,
Yeah.
Unless they announce something is attached to having this title, like what's the purpose of this title?
Yeah. So again, like, now, since this is a Levesque era thing, like, we can always be a bit more open-minded to see how he might treat it differently from the Vince era. But yeah, like, I think so much of especially if this is going to be a yearly thing, so much of our respect for it going forward will be to see how they treat it after the event.
Yeah, like the King and Queen of the Ring. You got the title matches at SummerSlam. Okay, that was something really tangible, but we'll see. I mean, are we downplaying the amount of carats of diamonds?
Well, yeah, that too. Look at this thing.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Amazing.
All right. So that was Hunter's announcement, but the segment is not over yet because then Gunther comes out and says he's going to win this just like he won King of the Ring, but first he has to beat Sami Zayn, and says, Zayn is just not cut out to be a top guy. But he wants to focus on the legends in attendance, and the whole crowd starts chanting Goldberg, and he addresses Bill by stating, I want to clarify what I said to Brett a few weeks ago. You were not my childhood hero, Bill, because you were a one-trick pony. But then admits to Bill, I'm just busting balls. And he turns his attention to Gage. And he says that he hopes Bill is a better father than he was a pro wrestler. And this was hilarious because Gage pretty much had to lean over and recite this promo to Bill in his ear, because there's like a 10-second delay before Bill pops up out of his seat once Gage has told him what he said. And he jumps the barricade. This place is going nuts. But before he can get to Gunther, Sami Zayn runs out, attacking Gunther, and Goldberg stands tall in the ring with his old pal, Paul Levesque, and announces that Gunther is next as his music plays. And Bill Goldberg, the Tony Khan's #1 supporter, is back. And it looks like they are going to do a Goldberg-Gunther match.
This felt definitive enough to you, right? That they're going towards that direction?
I did. And in my thought process, like, obviously this is very unlikely for Saudi Arabia, because had they not made that announcement, you would think like this is a Saudi Arabia type of match. And if it's not Saudi Arabia, the place I'm doing this match is not Survivor Series. I'm doing it on that NBC special in December. I think Goldberg going for the title. Listen, we've done this pattern many, many times. I think that he's a way more better of an attraction on television. Like, what could Goldberg pull for a network number, as opposed to just putting it like Survivor Series? It's sold out. It's a gigantic gate. You've got War Games. Is he adding that much more versus you need a big hook on NBC? And like Goldberg, his whole return run, he never did anything but pay-per-view. This would be a match, and you can get away doing this is going to be 5 minutes. I don't think Goldberg's going much longer than that. If 5
should not be more than that.
That's it. And that, I think, people will totally forgive on television with the spectacle of the entrance. That's what I would do. And if you notice later, they're promoting that Saturday night's main event as a premium live event. Like, that's in their listing. Like, they're going to make that their December show, but it's on free television.
Yeah, it really kind of lifts up its level from like what prior SNMAs have been, which is like really a skippable event. By turning this into the December PLE, it kind of makes it a bit more must see. I like that idea a lot, John. Does Goldberg go for the championship? And if so, which one? All right. Is he going for Gunther's puny little, WWE World Championship, or does he go for the man's championship? All right. What, the Crown Jewel Championship?
I'll tell you, the match, the money match is next year. Gunther versus Gage.
Gunther versus Gage. Wow, interesting. You might be looking at a future, future Hall of Famer, the next Goldberg.
Yeah, well,
all right, interesting.
Yeah, big segment, and probably the best city to do it in Atlanta.
Yes.
So this got a great reaction on the show.
Do we get a future Brett and Goldberg interaction?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
They're connected now via Gunther. Come on.
Yeah, they do have the common. I mean, that's got to be Paul Levesque. His ultimate revenge for Brett is booking him to get him on camera with Bill Goldberg.
It's the new Mega Powers, okay? The final. Can they get along? Goldberg and Brett on the same side.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.